Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Mohammad Muiz announces that the government will fund the construction of a dedicated mental hospital in Male from the state budget. Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif says a strong parliament must prioritize the interest of the people and hold the government accountable. Parliament's Government Oversight Committee unanimously approves the nomination of cabinet ministers submitted by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Idham Naeem. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz announces that the government will fund the construction of a dedicated mental health hospital in Male from the state budget.
Speaking at a press conference, the president said the decision was taken in response to the growing number of people requiring mental health support and the need to provide timely services. Earlier, the government has announced plans to develop a mental health facility in Gang, Lamu Atoll. President Muiz revealed in addition to this hospital under development, another dedicated hospital will be developed in Male from the state budget. The president explained that an earlier plan to develop a mental health facility in Gang, Lamu Atoll with foreign loan assistance had faced delays due to lengthy procedures. As a result, the government has opted to prioritize a hospital in Male using domestic funding. The president clarified that the new hospital in Male will not replace the proposed facility in Gang, Lamu Atoll. The Gang project remains under consideration pending the required funding. He added that land has already been secured in Male for the new hospital, with plans based on a similar scale to the Gang project, which was designed for a 14,000 square foot site at an estimated cost of $18 million. The president also highlighted recent progress in mental health services through the National Health Insurance Scheme Asanda. He said that between 1st January and 23rd April, a total of 10,954 individuals received psychiatric consultations and psychological therapy under the program. He noted that these efforts are also ongoing to expand mental health services across the atolls to improve accessibility nationwide.
President Dr. Mohammad Muiz announces the government has begun drafting legislation to formally criminalize bullying. Speaking at a press conference at the President's office, the President said work is underway to introduce a dedicated anti-bullying act that will establish bullying as a specific legal offense. He noted that bullying remains a significant issue in the Maldives, reflecting challenges seen in many countries. The President said the proposed law will build on existing provisions introduced through amendments to the Penal Code in 2024, which addressed cyberbullying and online harassment by creating a more comprehensive legal framework. He added that the legislation will include both preventive and punitive measures aimed at strengthening action against offenders while reducing incidents. According to the President, the Attorney General's office is leading the drafting process in consultation with technical experts. The bill is expected to be submitted to the Parliament once consultations are completed. He said the proposed legislation will clearly define acts of bullying and specify where the law will apply, including in schools, educational institutions and workplaces. The initiative forms part of broader efforts to strengthen legal protections and address rising concerns over bullying in different sectors of society. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz announces that the Rajya Transport Link RTL ferry service is expected to be expanded nationwide by the end of August.
Speaking at a weekly press conference, the president said the government is continuing the rollout of the services according to its planned schedule, describing RTL as a key priority for improving national connectivity. The RTL network, which was launched in 2022, is currently operational in 15 atolls connecting 145 islands. The most recent expansion saw services introduced in Lamu Atoll last month. The president noted that only a few atolls remain without coverage, including Mimu Atoll and Zone 3, which comprises of Kafu Atoll, Alif Alif Atoll, Alif Dalo Atoll, and Vav Atoll. He acknowledged that delays in payments to contractors had affected the pace of implementation. The government has said the nationwide rollout of RTL is aimed at strengthening inter-island transport, improving accessibility, and supporting economic activities across the Maldives.
President Dr. Mohamed Moise announces that the government has repaid 924 million US dollars in foreign debt obligations over a 21-day period.
Providing a comprehensive update on the nation's financial progress, President Moise underscored that the administration is actively settling both domestic and international liabilities without disrupting essential government services. According to initial figures, these disbursements align with a broader economic effort that saw 214.21 million US dollars allocated towards outstanding obligations to local companies within a 6-month period. The recent settlements processed within the first 3 weeks of the month encompass the prepayment of a 500 million US dollar sukuk issued in 2021 and a 400 million currency swap facility formalized during President Moise's state visit to India. The president noted the administration is revitalizing the economy alongside these efforts. Beyond the 214.21 million US dollar already dispersed to local firms, the government is scheduled to release an additional 16.87 million US dollars before the month's end.
Vice President Hussein Mohammad Latif says a strong parliament must prioritize the interests of the people and hold the government accountable.
The Vice President made the remarks while speaking at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association (CPA) Small Branches Workshop hosted in the Maldives for the first time. Addressing participants, the Vice President said a parliament can only become strong through sustained efforts to uphold democratic principles and ensure accountability. He also highlighted the importance of the Maldives' relationship with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and its member states, noting that the country's continued commitment to strengthen democratic institutions. The Vice President added that legislatures must operate independently and pursue clearer goals, warning that failure to do so could lead to a loss of public trust. He said the workshop serves as an important platform to support these objectives and enhance parliamentary capacity. Meanwhile, Speaker of the Parliament Abdul Rahim Abdullah also addressed the event, noting that the CPA has consistently supported the Maldivian Parliament. He expressed confidence that the workshop would further strengthen cooperation. He highlighted ongoing initiatives aimed at increasing public participation and improving parliamentary efficiency, including the introduction of the e-petition system and practice parliament programs. Moreover, Deputy Speaker Ahmad Nazim said small states face significant democratic challenges, often with limited resources, and emphasized the importance of collaboration with international partners. He added that discussions during the workshop are expected to contribute to building stronger and more accountable parliaments. The 3-day workshop is being held in Malé and is attended by speakers, deputy speakers, and senior officials from CPA member countries.
Parliament's Government Oversight Committee unanimously approves the nominations of cabinet ministers submitted by President Dr. Mohamed Moise.
The nominations were submitted following a cabinet reshuffle carried out on 14th and 15th April, which reduced the number of ministerial portfolios from 20 to 15. The restructuring led to the resignation of 10 ministers, who said the move was intended to provide greater flexibility for institutional reforms. Following the reshuffle, the President appointed 5 new ministers, while 9 returning members assumed restructured portfolios. Under the Constitution, ministers must receive parliamentary approval before exercising full powers. The approved nominations include Hassan Rashid as Minister of Defense and National Security, Musa Zamir as Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises, Ali Ihsan as Minister of Homeland Security, Labour and Technology, and Irtisham Adam as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Other nominees include Ismail Shafiu as Minister of Education, Higher Education and Skills Development, Gila Ali as Minister of Health, Family and Welfare, Mohammad Saeed as Minister of Economic Development, Transport and Trade, and Ahmad Shyam as Minister of Fisheries, Agriculture and Ocean Resources. The list also includes Dr. Muhammad Shaheen Ali Saeed as Minister of Islamic Affairs and Endowments, Muhammad Amin as Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation, Abdullah Rafiu as Minister of Youth Empowerment, Sports and Fitness, Hina Walid as Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage, Dr. Abdullah Muttalib as Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, and Ali Sharif as Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy. The nominations will now proceed for a final vote in Parliament.
Ali Ihsan, Minister of Homeland Security, Labour and Technology, asserts true digital transformation must be driven by the initiative of Maldivians to bring about the solutions they genuinely need.
Maldives Digital Summit, a cornerstone of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's ambitious Maldives 2.0 initiative, commenced on 27th April at Barcelona Sandra, gathering local and international experts to advance the country's digital-first national transformation agenda. Speaking during the opening ceremony of the summit, Minister Ihsan highlighted the unique geographical challenges of the Maldives, an archipelago of scattered islands, emphasizing that digital advancement is not merely an option but an essential tool for national development. According to Minister Ihsan, with the advances in technology, the distance between the islands of Maldives is decreasing, noting that this digital bridge will facilitate the efficient delivery of government services to every citizen and establish a responsive, transparent communication system. The government strategy involves laying a modern foundation by digitizing state services and functions. This includes the establishment of a secure digital identity, national information exchange system, and interconnection services. Minister Ihsan clarified that this effort extends beyond technical upgrades, stating that the system will facilitate faster services for Maldivian families, workers, and businesses, ultimately aiming to modernize services and establish an information-based management system. The event featured keynote speakers including the former Deputy Prime Minister of Moldova for digitalization and experts from South Korea's National Information Society Agency and the UK's Government Digital Service. Scheduled to run until the 29th of April, the summit is held in conjunction with the Digital Maldives for Adaptation, Decentralization and Diversification project implemented with assistance from the Maldives Digital Service and the World Bank. The gathering aims to strengthen inter-institutional relationships and solidify the key foundations for a digitally empowered future for the Maldives.
Dr. Abdullah Muttalib, the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, says the relocation of residents from Hirimaradu in Hadalu Atoll to Hanimadu in the same atoll constitutes an imperative state action that must be executed alongside a parallel commitment to address local housing shortages.
The initiative, formalized by a presidential decree on the 30th December 2025, mandates the wholesale transfer of the Hirimaradu population, a community already integrated into Hanimadu's jurisdiction following recent local council elections. Minister Muttalib said fulfilling this transition within an 18-month time frame remains a central presidential pledge. While Hirimaradu counts over 500 registered citizens, the active population of approximately 200 will be accommodated into 100 newly developed row houses. Every homeowner relinquishing property in Hirimaradu is slated to receive a 3-bedroom residence in Hanimadu, where the Housing Development Corporation is currently conducting site clearances and environmental assessments. However, the state move comes as Hanimadu residents voiced trepidation over the stagnation of a separate 100-unit project mired in legal disputes since 2011 involving No Muddy Resorts, Dombas Private Limited, and SJ Construction. Minister Muttalib confirmed the government is pursuing an out-of-court settlement to expedite these works. SJ Construction remains prepared to commence operations contingent upon legal viability, Minister Muttalib said, noting that an additional 500 units are already planned to support the growth of Hanimadu as an urban center. The consolidation follows the historical integration of populations from Hatifushi in Ha Alif Atoll, Hondadu and Faridu in Ha Dadu Atoll, and Mafila Fushi in Laviani Atoll, bringing Hanimadu's population to nearly 3,000.
In response to growing public concern over steadily increasing electricity costs, Fenaka Corporation Limited has asserted that the rise in bills over the past decade is not due to a systematic billing error, but rather a direct result of extreme heat and higher consumption patterns. The state-owned utility company addressed the issue on PSM News Rajamyad program, with senior officials providing a detailed breakdown of the factors at play. The company's chief technical officer, Abdullah Nashid, acknowledged the influx of complaints but clarified that the increased charges accurately reflect a significant jump in electricity usage, largely driven by prolonged heat waves. He further noted that appliances, particularly water pumps and cooling systems, consume more energy when exposed to high temperatures, even if usage habits remain unchanged. The discussions also touched on recent billing cycle adjustments, with Fenaka's Chief Development Officer Mohammad Shujao clarifying that the deadline for bill preparation was extended following the month of Ramadan, in line with the government directive to cap bills at $26 during the holy month. To ensure accuracy, Fenaka confirmed that all meters are factory tested, calibrated upon arrival in the Maldives, and readings are meticulously verified. The entire billing system operates under the strict standards set by the Utility Regulatory Authority, with the company remaining committed to investigating individual cases where a meter reading error is suspected. With peak consumption periods expected to continue, Fenaka and government agencies are advising the public to adopt energy-saving measures to mitigate high costs during the hottest days of the year. Oil prices climbs while U.S. stocks futures slip as stalled U.S.-Iran peace talks prolonged the disruption of Middle East energy exports, unsettling markets and policymakers ahead of a packed week of central bank meetings.
Benchmark Brent crude futures LCOC1 rose more than 2% to touch a 3-week high of $107.97 a barrel in early Asia trade, stoking inflation worries that have prompted traders to all but price out rate cuts this year. S&P 500 futures ESC1 eased 0.3% in a modest move after the cash market notched a record closing high, with investors snapping up AI winners. While a ceasefire has frozen most fighting in the war triggered by U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran 2 months ago, markets are focused on the shuttered Strait of Hormuz, the key choke point behind surging energy prices. The average LNG price for June delivery into Northeast Asia, LNGAS, was $16.70 per million British thermal units last week, nearly 61% above pre-war levels. Goldman Sachs analysts lifted year-end oil price forecasts sharply from $80 to $90 a barrel for Brent, and even that rests on normalization of Gulf exports by the end of June.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visits Russia on the last leg of a regional tour, where he is due to meet President Vladimir Putin, Iranian state media reported, a day after shutting to and from mediators Pakistan and Oman.
Video posted to Telegram by Araghchi showed the Iranian foreign minister arriving in what he said was St. Petersburg, Russia, where he disembarked from an airplane. Araghchi was seen greeting Russian officials before walking alongside a delegation and taking his seat for talks. Iranian media reported that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Russia for talks with Putin. Discussions on bilateral ties and regional issues, including the Iran-US conflict, will be held with Russian officials during a visit to St. Petersburg, Iran's foreign minister said. U.S. President Donald Trump said Iran could telephone if it wants to negotiate an end to their 2-month war and stressed it can never have a nuclear weapon. After Tehran said the U.S. should remove obstacles to a deal, including its blockade of Iran's ports.
Israeli military vehicles and convoys of tanks are seen moving along the northern border as pillars of smoke blow in southern Lebanon as the hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah persist despite a U.S. brokered ceasefire.
Smoke was seen rising in southern Lebanon after the Israeli army issued an evacuation order to 7 towns north of Litani River, not part of the new buffer zone, saying it would act forcefully against Hezbollah over ceasefire violations. A statement from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the military had been instructed to attack Hezbollah targets in Lebanon forcefully, providing no further details. While hopes of a diplomatic breakthrough in the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran faded, ongoing cross-border fire between Israel and Hezbollah have further tested a U.S.-mediated ceasefire with Lebanon.
Tigst Assefa of Ethiopia breaks her own women's-only world record in winning the London Marathon.
The 29-year-old pulled away from Kenyans Helen Obiri and Jocelyn Jepkoske during the home stretch to cross the finish line in 2 hours, 15 minutes and 41 seconds, beating the record of 2 hours, 15 minutes and 50 seconds she set last year in London. Speaking after the race, she said that she is very excited to be a champion at the London Marathon for a second time. Assefa, who missed out on Olympic gold at Paris 2024, was delighted to add another London Marathon winner's medal to her collection, and she said she felt strong as she finished. Now the Ethiopian runner is looking forward to celebrating with her family and her mother in particular, telling the news conference, quote, "It is a happy moment for her to be alive and see her daughter reach this level. I am very happy and I am lucky for this," unquote.
Over 100 Italian pastry chefs broke the Guinness World Record for the longest tiramisu in London, producing a dessert measuring in at 440.58 meters over 1,440 feet long.
Using only fresh ingredients, the chefs toiled for 2 days to prepare the Italian dessert. A total of 19,000 eggs, 400 kilograms of sugar, and 128,000 biscuits went into the cake, which took about 5 hours to assemble. Cheers erupted in the Chelsea Old Town Hall when the record was announced, with chefs and supporters celebrating with the Italian national anthem before the dessert was divided into boxes for collection.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day.